Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to tell you Kinder Contracts 101 and how to navigate them, how to get the best contract for yourself, and to make sure you're not getting ripped off in any way. So if you're interested, definitely keep watching. So the first thing that I would say pay attention to is the teaching hours versus working hours. I've mentioned this in a few of my previous videos, so if you haven't watched them, definitely check those out. But for kindergarten contracts, the teaching hours, typically you can't just be a kindergarten teacher solely. You'd have to be like a kindergarten and after school kindergarten classes, in which case there are a few things to remember. Now, I'm going to base this on my one contract that I had as a kindergartner and kindergarten teacher rather. The working hours are teaching hours plus prep time plus your lunch time, everything included. So I'm by the way, I'm going to look down just to look at my contract. So my contract was the teacher's working hours are 8:30 to 6:30 p.m. or 9:30 to 7:30 p.m. So that's about, I'm just trying to figure, that's 10 hours. 10 hours, which is ridiculous. You should not be working 10 hours. You should be not doing even 10 working hours. Now, this could be the case. They want you to work 9 hours plus your 1 hour lunch break. You should never work more than 9 hours in total, including your 1 hour lunch break. And obviously this was my first year, so I didn't know, but if your working hours are 10 hours and my teaching hours were roughly my working hours, the compensation is in exchange for teaching an average of 6 hours, 6 teaching hours a day. That's 30 hours per week. So you're only getting paid for your teaching hours, which means you're not really getting paid for your working hours, even though you should be, because in that time, in those 4 hours minus your 1 hour as well, but we'll get to that in a bit, there's 3 hours of prep time, but you're still working, you're still doing stuff for the academy. So for them not to pay you for that is not good. So I would suggest, if you are ever going to do a kindergarten Hagwon, do not get a salary less than 2.3. That's because if you are coming here on a 2.1 as a first year, roughly 300,000 is being taken out. So you're living on 1.8, which is not good, especially if you're living in Seoul. I don't know how other people do it, but I don't think you can survive on 1.8. So in that case, you must immediately be like 2.3 if you want me to do a kindergarten contract. Kindergarten contracts are kindergarten hagwons are very, very hard to work at because the kids themselves, they're tiny. You have to take care of them. You have to make sure that they're not hurt. They're not getting hurt. And you will be blamed if anything happens to them. Once again, I would like to also preface, hagwons are businesses first. They're not schools. Do not expect to come here and be like, oh, I'm going to be a good teacher and that's all I have to be. No, your face is going to be planted on all of the photos. You're going to be taking at least 100, 200 photos a month with these kids. You are basically going to be a clown. That's what you are. You are going to be taking pictures and watching, and all you have to do is you have to take a picture with every single kid so that the parent knows that their child is interacting with a foreigner. As long as this kind of evidence is provided to the parents are happy. So once again, they don't care about the teaching as much as the fact that they need evidence showing that they're interacting with a foreigner. That's something. You should not be earning less than 2.3 at a kindergarten hagwon. At any hagwon period, but kindergarten, no less than 2. If someone comes to you with a 2.1, don't say no. It's just that. Say no. Unless the hours are less, the working hours are less, don't fall for the teaching hours. We'll look at the working hours, and if the working hours are less, okay, like if you choose to like want that, then that's fine. My second thing that I would like to say is sick leave. Okay, holidays and sick leave. Now generally most Hagwons only give you 10 days off. Okay, and those 10 days are assigned based on the Hagwon's schedule, their own schedule. So you will be given like 5 days in summer usually and 5 days in winter. Now sick leave is something that also needs to be mentioned. Please make sure that in your contract you have at least 3 days worth of sick leave. If you do not have sick leave, they will take one of your, typically, this is typical, okay? Either they can never say no for sick leave. If you are sick and the Hagwon says that you are not allowed to have sick leave, which my previous Hagwon tried to make me pay $4,000 for a sick leave. So there are Hagwons like this where they will pressure you into not taking a sick day even though you are sick. So if you want to see that video, then I'm going to link it there up above. But if you are sick, take the day off, but ensure that in your contract that there's at least 3 days worth of sick leave there, whether unpaid or paid, because there's two things that the Hagwon will do. Either they will not pay you for the entire day, or that's very rare, or they will take one of your holidays, meaning the 10 days that you have in the entire year, and they will use that, which means you will come in when everyone else, all of the foreign teachers are off, and you will be doing some kind of extra makeup class or something like that. And obviously you do not want that. So please ensure that in your contracts there's at least 3 days sick leave included. Unpaid, paid, don't give a shit about it. Just make sure that it's in there so that it's not impacting your actual holiday leave. That's something that is very important. Do not fall for your Hagwon saying you cannot take sick leave. Though there is no statutory law about sick leave, right? There's no official law about it. Just make sure that it's there. If it's in your contract, it's legally binding. Therefore, you don't have to fight like I did to get a sick day off. You are entitled to one. You deserve one. If you need a day off for your mental health, for your physical health, as long as you can provide a doctor's note, you do not need to explain yourself more or feel guilty, which is what Hagwons typically make you feel. You should not feel guilty for taking a day off. That is not your responsibility. Do not let them diminish your worth, which is what Hagwons will make you do. Point that I would also want to point out is the income tax. Make sure you are being taxed the right income tax. Make sure you are not being taken as an individual contractor, because an individual contractor doesn't get health insurance or pension. You are a full-time employee, you are a full-time employee, so make sure that the tax that is being taken out is that of a full-time employee, and you are being given pension and health insurance. Once again, make sure you're getting a payslip. Payslips are very important to track and be aware of what is being taken out. Hagwons, you usually have to fight to get a payslip. Make sure before you sign a contract, you even have it included in your contract that you will be given a payslip every month showing the deductions, because what I found is that Hagwons do not like giving payslips because they don't want to give you any way of seeing what they are taking out, what they are not. And obviously, if they are not paying pension or health care, you will be fined, just like I was. And I also did a video on that, so definitely check that out. If you want to know about why I was charged almost $1,000 for not paying my health insurance, I thought I was, but my Hagwon apparently wasn't. So that is something. When you get your first payslip, call the health insurance department, call the pension department. Make sure you are registered there. Make sure they are taking payments out, because typically you don't pay those payments. Your your Hagwon, your school pays them on your behalf, because they also have to give a contribution. So make sure that this is happening so that it doesn't affect you in the future. There's also additional duties. In my previous Hagwon, I was told that I had to do shuttle bus duty, which is me having to wake up an hour earlier and picking the kids up from onto the bus and then taking them to the Hagwon. You are not getting paid for this. Once again, any sort of extra duties that you are not being paid for, make sure you are aware of them. Make sure you know that you won't be paid for them unless you state that you are not going to do it before you sign the contract, because you will have to do it and you will not get paid for it. Let me preface that you will not get paid for it. The more that they can ask of you, these additional duties, so be aware of that in your contract. In the additional duties such as shuttle bus, monthly reports, monthly exam markings, monthly comments, all of these extra things, you're not going to get paid for, but you're going to have to do. So make sure you read these things. I had my kindergarten made me come in on the weekend for open days. I wasn't getting paid for that, but it took up my time, my Saturdays, and I wasn't getting paid for it. So I would definitely make sure you're aware of these additional duties, and as long as they're within the working hours, it's fine. Once they go outside of the working hours, you need to be aware that you're not going to get paid for that unless it's stated in your contract that you will. So definitely be aware of that. Your accommodation, the school pays for it. However, they can give you a housing allowance, or they can give you like a accommodation that they will provide. Now, before you get into this accommodation, make sure that you are given pictures or a video so you can see the accommodation for yourself. I've had a variety of accommodations, some terrible, some really great. The one that I got in my kindergarten was very old. It was very mold. There was a lot of mold. There was a lot of insects and everything like that. So I would suggest, in my opinion, get your own accommodation. They will give you some, probably, I think the allowance comes from like 300,000 all the way to 600,000. It depends on the school, but I would suggest getting your own accommodation. Of course, in order for you to do that, you have to give a deposit, which is called chonse, beforehand. So that would be like roughly about $7,500 to $10,000 if you want to get a good, decent place. But it is well worth it, because at least you know that you are going to be in a clean apartment, because Hagwons, typically they just want you in an apartment. They don't really care about the how clean it is, how clean it isn't. That's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is to provide you accommodation, and whether that's clean or not, it's a very gray area. I've seen loads of posts about how tough it is to find. Like, so many people have said, oh, have such terrible accommodation, I've got mold, and my Hagwon isn't doing anything or telling me to live in there. Like, you deserve livable conditions, and if your Hagwon is not providing you that, then leave. Because one thing I've learned is that there's this idea that you cannot leave your contract, that like it will impact you a lot, or you won't be able to find another place. I think it's important to talk to your Hagwon first about your living conditions. If your living conditions are not good, please approach your Hagwon with, at least in the first, and just explain it to them in a civil manner that it's not livable. If they choose to change it, then that's great. If they don't, take the housing allowance, get your own apartment, or like move into like an Airbnb that you can get for like probably that amount, or have the Hagwon pay for your Airbnb, because you don't deserve and to suffer or be in a apartment that isn't livable. So these are the things that I would recommend. These are the main points that I would recommend to look in your contracts, and make sure that you're not getting ripped off, you're not doing thousands of hours of overtime without getting paid, and your accommodation is clean and nice and it's livable. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Definitely comment down below any questions that you have. I'm happy to answer them, and definitely subscribe so I know that you guys love this content and I will make more for you. So yes, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.